This video is being made to describe what to do if your scooter is no longer charging or if it arrived and it's not charging. The symptom of this will manifest, it'll show when you go to plug in the charger and the charging light stays green. It should be red when it's charging and then turn green when it's done. If you know the battery is not fully charged and it is not turning red, then what that means is the connection inside the scooter is having issues and it needs to be swapped out, this part here that I'm holding on to. It's a relatively simple fix. There's just some of techniques to open up the deck and then how to swap this out that we'll cover here right now. The reason this happens, this kind of unfortunate event, is sometimes when the scooter is moving, hits a bump that's really hard, or most of the time we see it in shipping if the scooter package is dropped. The battery inside the case here will get torqued enough that it slides a little bit, and it only needs to slide about 2 inches for it to hit the wires here, and then it can knock off one of these wires. So when you go to plug it in, it's actually not creating a circuit and therefore not charging the battery. So this is going to cover how to get into the scooter, the first part, and then we'll talk about switching this out. But to get inside, you're going to have a sticker on top here. You don't have to remove the whole thing like in this case, but just peel back the edges to access these screw points. These two up here at the top, they do not have an opposing nut on the bottom like the rest of them do. These just screw straight out of the chassis. There's several methods and tools you can use to accomplish this job. I use a drill, but I have to get into these quite often. But all you need is an Allen hex here. The size that I have here is a 4. And then I use also to kind of speed up the task, if you have access to it, a ratchet with a size 10. So I will put the hex down and then use the ratchet on the opposing side to resist the nut and then back it out. Some of them are a little bit, see if I can describe this. There's not a lot of room with the lip that's underneath the scooter, but it's still very doable. It's just a matter of when you put the hex in, if you kind of just tilt the head a little bit, it'll take the bottom and push the nut away from the body just enough to get the ratchet on. So it's more of just like a technique thing there to make it a little bit easier. And then actually that's the true of all of them. Some of them are easier than others, but they're definitely manageable. And then the one new thing that we have to address is because scooters are now being ridden more in inclement weather because people are commuting with them, we've decided to put a weather sealant around the deck here. So to deal with that, once you get the screws off, you're going to find that it's still kind of tricky to get the deck off. So what you can do for that is either a flathead screwdriver, a Phillips would probably work too, or a small pry bar. And what I do is I go to this spot right here where the shock is mounted. There's a nice lip. And so I'll put the head of the screwdriver right down there and then lift the handle up. And you'll hear it start to pry away. And once you get it started, then you'll just kind of work your way forward and then you should be good to go. Once the scooter is open, you're going to see a nest of wires. I wouldn't let that intimidate you. I will say never do work on anything electrical if you're not comfortable doing it. That kind of is a given, but it's quite manageable. So once you're inside here, you want to make sure, of course, you have nothing plugged in on the side. And then when you're doing any work, the first thing you want to do is unplug this yellow connector right here. That's the main feed from the battery. Please note, when you plug this back in, it is going to spark. That's totally normal. It's because it's a free-flowing electron battery like any other battery, whereas at a switch situation on a wall outlet, you're killing power. This is your kind of pseudo switch in this case at this point in electrical chain. So just don't let it freak you out if there's a small spark there. But on to changing this part out. So what you'll see, this scooter does not have this symptom. So you won't see any symptoms of what to look for here. But what you'll see in a scooter that is having this issue is either one of these wires is completely off, or sometimes it's broken just enough and that it's not completing the arc. So all you need to do is unclip here to free up this piece, and then you're going to have against the wall of the scooter here, you're going to have a nut and a washer, which let's see if I can zoom in here. So all you need to do is reverse that out here. There's going to be some sealant here as well that you can take off and undo, and then back it out, and then the whole thing will pull forward. We deliver these with this clip off because we want to make sure that the clip wiring color matches what you're plugging into. In this case, it's right here. They're pretty standard, but we never like to assume that, so we usually ship this part with the clip off where you would just need to plug in. the appropriate colors. If for any event you get one that's like this, that has the clip on for whatever reason, just make sure that the colors match. And if they don't, all you need to do is just take a kind of a, trying to think of the word I want, but just a sharp object, a pointy object down there. There's clips. I use a pair of needle nose pliers, actually forceps, and then pop it out and then switch it around. But that really shouldn't be so much of an issue. But once you do that, you just reverse the process and then plug this back in, plug the yellow back in, and then you should be good to go. It's pretty straightforward. So I'm trying to think of anything else that comes to mind, but that should do it. Also, I guess just for fun, it's when you plug this yellow thing back in, a lot of times the scooter's key fob receiver is going to make a loud chirp at you, so don't let that kind of freak you out. But that's about it. Thanks.